I will be back in a few minutes. Thank you. Welcome everyone who's joining. I think we passed the 20 participant threshold. So by talking a little bit about the session housekeeping, it will let some newcomers time to join. So welcome to this introduction to Humanitarian Energy Data Platform. I'm Jonathan Hakimi, working for the GPA for around 2 years now. I'm focusing on data acquisition related to humanitarian energy, electricity, and household energy access for the displaced person. This session is dedicated to the walkthrough of the platform. So we will present you the context, the background of the platform, the purpose, to whom it is intended. And then there will be a Q&A session. Hi, Thomas, nice to see you. And at the end also, we will present you the READS project, which is the next steps of our work on data acquisition, data sharing, and humanitarian energy data. So I let Thomas, who is the strategic lead of the GPA, have a little introduction of the tool and its contexts. Voilà, Thomas, floor is yours.
Thanks, Jonathan. I had some technical difficulties. Can you hear me? Well, yeah, okay, good. Yes. Welcome to the session today. As Jonathan said, we would like to introduce the Power BI tool to you, which is our attempt to streamline data processes within the humanitarian energy sector. My name is Thomas. I'm the strategic lead of the GPA Coordination Unit. And for those of you who are not familiar with the GPA, it is the centralized platform for everyone who is interested in achieving SDG 7, so achieving sustainable energy solutions for all displaced people and their host communities until 2030. GPA was founded, pretty much 4 years ago, with the support of the major humanitarian organizations like UNHCR, IOM, WFP, and others, and because we all know the humanitarians themselves can't solve this issue, also in combination and collaboration with development actors, like, for example, UNDP, GIZ, Sustainable Energy for All, Clean Cooking Alliance, and other partners. So this is the core team of what we call the steering group of GPA, and then we have additional about 250 partners that are in the wider humanitarian energy sector. I guess Sadiq can post some links to the GPA in the chat, and also we have a LinkedIn group. In case you're not a member right now, then please sign up for it if you're interested. It's an opportunity to share information, to share job opportunities, to share all kinds of requests to the right audience. We have more than 1,000 people on the LinkedIn group now, so we are quite happy how this evolved. But now today, yeah, as you can imagine, data is, I mean, probably preaching to the choir here. Data is crucial for everything. We can't measure what we can't assess. We cannot measure progress if we don't have proper numbers. And the challenge in the humanitarian space is, or in humanitarian energy space, is it is between these two chairs, right? It is on the one hand a humanitarian topic because it is within a humanitarian context, but then on the other hand, energy as such is very much a development issue, and so you won't be surprised, also given that there are various partners working on this topic, that we have actually, yes, we have a lack of data on the one hand, lack of accurate data, but we also have, on the other hand, the luxury problem to have multiple data sets, which makes it difficult to actually measure progress. Because, for example, we have a data platform from IOM, we have UNHCR assessing their own data their own numbers. We have WFP, we have UNDP working on this. So multiple partners, and then on top, many NGOs who are doing assessments for projects, for programs, for example, but also measuring progress in certain programs. So long story short, the Power BI tool which we want to introduce today is our attempt to bring these various data sets together. We are quite grateful for our partners who offered us to host this data on our platform. And the platform, as you will see, it's not only about pure hardcore humanitarian energy data. We also want to use this as a platform to get informed about other parts of the data, sorry, of the energy story in these countries. So you find additional information that we thought would be quite useful. For example, if a certain country has signed up for the CRF process, for the Common Refugee Response Framework, because that is an indication whether in the future they will include displaced settings more into national agendas, which also relates to the energy topic, if they include this into national energy plans in the future. Again, long story short, and we have a lot to cover today, so I will close it here. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Sadiq. Thanks, colleagues, for making this happen today. Do ask critical questions. This is a tool which we would provide for the entire sector, for all of you. If you find this is useful, wonderful. If you find we need to improve something, please let us know. It's really the first trial here, and we believe it is a useful tool, and we will also populate this in the future going further, hopefully with the help of all of you. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. Thank you for this very complete introduction. And I want to echo what Thomas just said about the platform status. It's just the beginning. It's the version, if we can call it even 1.0. So it can only develop and improve in the future with collaboration, sharing, and work from our different partners. because for the moment, or it's not expected in the short term, we do not collect data ourselves. We depend on our partners to access data. And we will see, yeah, that data is really access to data, and more specifically in those displacement settings is in those fragile contexts. Most of you, all of you knows that it's a difficult task. So GPA Coordination Unit developed this data visualization tool.
Sorry, Jonathan, we cannot see you.
Yeah, okay. Are you willing to see me, Sadiq?
Yes, we'd love to.
Okay, great. So yeah, it was to respond to the World Bank assessment in 2017. GPA was established in 2018. So World Bank said that data on energy use in displacement settings is really scarce. So this platform first aims to address this issue. Now, data are collected, yes, but from various sources and different approaches. So the data are pretty much scattered with little comparability and difficult to access. So this tool tried to assemble the different pieces of the puzzle to offer the practitioners energy information, such as energy access in the settlements, the ecosystem, so the ecosystem in which those camps evolve. We will see those are the different pages in the report, and then of course the national contexts. So one objective of this platform is to create visibility of the topic, so humanitarian energy. So we have done this. We have compiled around 40 indicators, and those indicators, thanks to the functionality, the pick and choose functionality, depending on the country, depending on the camp, depending where we see this, we can have a better view and understanding of the situation in a specific situation, in a specific location. So enough of discussion. I will share my screen now. And okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes, okay. So we will add, starting tomorrow, we will add, which is something really important, the updates on each pages. Future development might include update for each indicator, but that's not the case for the moment. We will, each page will have the date of the data updates, as each page will do the updates once for all indicators. So as I said, we have mainly 3 types of indicators, which are split on level, geographical level or situation level. I would say we have the country energy access and camp energy access data. We have the settlement profile, and then we have the national context. After, we can quickly go through, but this is in development. We have another page that focuses on a specific thematic. And this thematic, which has been developed for the moment, which is currently under development, is healthcare facilities and a landscaping of healthcare facilities. Paula, do you want to start? And then, thank you. Yes, I will share with you remote the access, and then you can start the run through. Do you have access to it, Paula?
Yes. Thank
you. I just closed my video before, and
Hi everyone. I will start with the structure of the page and a little bit of the sources. And starting with the humanitarian energy baseline, we have here an analysis made of refugee camps with a population over 20,000 people. This was work done in collaboration with Chatham House and the GPA. And first of all, we have a country filter where we can see data depending on each country. So for example, here in Bangladesh, we can see the total displaced population in the country, and we can also see the displaced population by refugee camp. We have the different locations, and there was done a cooking fuel distribution and a lighting source distribution that was made with recent reports on camps and countries for each country. So these different distributions, we have a reset data bottom here, and these different distributions come from cooking fuel, the LPG dependent camp, the urban refugee household, the firewood dependent camp, and the firewood charcoal mix. And for electricity source, we have the diesel battery mix camp, the grid connected camp, the low no power camp, and the low power solar mix camp. This repeating this distribution was made with reports of each country. It needs to be detailed more on a camp level basis. And yeah, this was one of the gaps we had with data. Jonathan, you want to continue?
Yeah, trying to get control of my mouse. Thank you, Paola. Yeah, as Paola mentioned, presented the page and mentioned about data source. Those data are based on the work that was done by Chatham House through the MEI Moving Energy Initiative report. And this was updated through interview of key informants in country, on-site key informants for the state of the report, state of the sector report that was produced by the GPA recently. And here the challenge is, or the next step, I would say, is to provide, as Paola said, this is really a country level energy access, and now it's to go one level down to the camp access, and this is our next target for new data. So here it's informed mainly on two energy access level, the cooking technology and the electricity access, which is here represented by lighting source distribution. Paola, if you want to go to the next slide.
Yes. In the next page, we have the displaced settlement profile. In this one, we also have a filter by country and by location, by refugee camp. We have the settlement type, the number of shelters in camp, the duration of camp existence in years, the country it's located on, and the overall conducive environment. I will let Jonathan explain further the different scores we have. It's a score from 0 to 6, and these indicators are presented here. It's in energy and policy. We have different indicators as energy officer in country, CRRF signed, and it's also you're able to filter it by country, and you can also filter it by indicator. So if you want to see the locations that have an energy officer in the country, you can press that button and then you can see all the locations that have that information. You can also reset the data to see the first the first view of the page. And these different energy scores are presented here in in a shortened version. And with this button, you can see the detailed version. And we also have the locations with no data that are the ones that we are missing data in most of the indicators. Yeah, Jonathan, you can continue here.
Thank you, Paola. Yeah, and this is also very important and interesting functionality, the no data, where it shows the gap where there are no data. So that's very, I think, useful to assess the level of the quantity of data that we have on the certain part and where we don't have data, and still have to make efforts toward data acquisition. So here, this page is, here, this page, I will show you, for instance, with Jordan, Zatari. So this page is a summary, so with the focus, and we try to, with this page, convey the message to try to provide some sort of a profile of a camp and its readiness level to integrate energy transition projects or to integrate new energies. So to evaluate this readiness level, we have 3 scores, and each one of them, we will see, as Paola mentioned, are made of a list of indicators. So the first score is the energy policy, and obviously it's whether the energy policy in the country is friendly to new energy or to energy dissemination. Then the second is the livelihood, the capacity, mainly the capacity of the displaced person to buy energy or to work. And then the final one with the finance structure in the camp, whether you have mobile phone access, so mobile money, and this sort of. So here, compared to another, I would say, Chad, you will see, here we can see that Zatari is high in the score. It has overall conductive environment is 75, where we could go in another here, and there is no electricity, there is nothing, and we can see some indicators. It can be mainly that we just don't have data. And here we can see the 3 scores and with the different indicators. If you want to go to the national contexts, Paola, thank you.
Yes. Continuing to the national context, we have now different scores now on a national level. We have, you can compare the total population of the country with the displaced population of each country. So yeah, it's filtering this different information. We have the rural access to electricity, the overall need score that it's obtained from other scores. For example, this one, we have the Human Development Index, the SDG Index score, and the rural access to electricity. And we have these to implement renewable energy project in the country. It's also obtained from different indicators. And now we can go to the different indicators. We have a summary here of the indicators we saw before. And then in this case, we have the conducive environment indicators. It includes the ease of doing business. That's easiest 1 and the hardest 190. You can see the details when you hover over the indicators. Also, the regulatory indicators for sustainable energy, the RISE indicators from SMAP. Also, we have if the diesel price is more than or equal to 1.5 US dollar per liter, the grid price, the public flows in PV technology, and the installed renewable electricity capacity. And you can also filter by country. And depending on the indicators, we have also color for if it's positive or negative, if the diesel price is higher or no. And back to national context, we have the economic indicators. Also the summary on the top part. We have the percentage of agricultural land, of percentage of land area. We have the net official deviance, assistance received in percentage of the GDP, GDP at market prices, net foreign direct investment. Also, you can filter it by country. And we have the need indicators, the other social indicators, population, ages 0 to 14, percentage of total population, youth unemployment rate, the Human Development Index, and the SDG Index score. That it also takes us to the SDG 7 page. That's the last page that we will be seeing today. Yeah, Jonathan, you can continue now.
Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you. I will answer. There are some questions. Thank you, Sadiq, from the chat. We will take them in the Q&A session, and we will discuss them. Please, this again depending on the feedback and the interaction we have with our partners. So really, just leave or comment anything vocally or through the chat. So this national context is a public information. It's really a compilation of selected based on the interview with the sectors, both energy sectors and humanitarian sectors, what type of indicators the sector would be interested to see when combining humanitarian energy data. So those are public information from IRENA, ESMA, UNDP, Bloomberg, and as Paula showed you, it's informed first on the need you see on the right. So the level of need, if the need are high, it's 1. Important. I just put as a benchmark the United Kingdom, for instance. So here you can see that this is the summary again with the different indicators. The ease to do business here. So it's easy, it's 1, easy. Economic indicators we will see after, and then the need related to improve energy access is close to 0. If then you can take another, then you have another country in Sahel, then you have another picture, and you can go then, for instance, the ease to do business or to implement energy projects in that country. So we take Chad. Then through it tells whether the environment in Chad is conducive or not based on the public information that we collected. I think they are right. It's a good indicators because it's a compilation. It's compiled by produced by SMAP, and it's a combination. You can go on the sites, just type RISE on the web, and you can go on the site. They have all the list of the policy and many indicators that inform about the easiness or whether the regulations are friendly to new energy implementation. Then the diesel price and grid price, it's also a good information to know whether if diesel and grid price are cheap, so below 15 cents of USD for kilowatt for grid, or below $1.5 for diesel. I mean, the current price of, for instance, PV system, depending, of course, on the location, but it will be difficult to compete. So from a financial standpoint, the lower the price of diesel and the grid price in the country, the most difficult you will have to do a financial argument of transitioning to new energy. Then quick one then on the need. Of course, the Human Development Index. We take Chad here, which is developed by UNDP. I think one to me, there's a number which is not here, but it's reflected with the population age from 0 to 14 in the country, it's 47%. And there is a rule of thumb and number that in displacement settings, in settlements, around 80 to 85% of the person in the settlement of displacement settings are either children between 0 and 14 and women. So this is to say that there is a big need in terms of providing energy access. It's not only providing energy access, it's also increasing future hope for the children, and it's also increasing equality by providing electricity and energy in displacement settings. Voila for this national context. I think we will, I hope to finish earlier, so you will have 10 minutes maybe for a cup of tea and a break during this afternoon. Has anyone, I think we're going to slowly move to the Q&A session. So anyone who has comments or question related to the tool or the platform itself? So I will go first on the chat. The question is data collected only for the selected refugee camp. For instance, in case of Pakistan, I can only see 6 camps, whereas there are 54 registered villages in Pakistan. Yes, so very good question. So first, those, I don't know if the person is referring to humanitarian energy baseline or settlement profile. So here the camp, yes, let's take Pakistan. Okay, so those are, as I said, data presented here where we could access information. That information were provided to us. So this is not meant to show complete and a comprehensive list of camps in the world. Is really inform about information that we could access and inform about the information that our partners have shared and that we were able also to verify and with the different sources. So that's why still this showed, thank you, the very good question, and this show that there is still a gap in data and there is still a big effort to access the data, energy data related to displaced person. So there is another question. If we have collected any appliances data beyond lighting and cooking, such as radio, refrigerators or households, small businesses. Thank you. Very good. Another great question. So we do not, again, I just remind, we do not collect data, but yeah, we are in contact with GOGLA that, and we have a sharing agreement with them. We have not presented here the data, but you can go on GOGLA report. They have a semi-annual report. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sadiq. And there is data they collect from suppliers, a group of suppliers, data related to appliances. But that's a good question that we have also for certain countries. We didn't want to put it here so to go too much into details, but that will be also in future development. We have in some cases, but it was too small for the moment. We had in Uganda, we have a pretty good report on appliances, but that's in the future development, how to best again develop the collaboration and integration of other organization data in the platform. Voila for the moment for the questions. And Sadiq did put the GOGLA websites.
Jonathan,
Paula? Yeah.
there's some people with their hand raised.
Okay. Yeah, just take the control if you want, Paula.
Okay, so yeah, I think there's one person. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, Paula. So I had my hands up. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing I'm the only one with my hand up. So I'm Amna Mahmood. I'm a policy economist with the International Growth Center. So I had a few comments on the dashboard that you've shared. So one, maybe Jonathan mentioned it, but I had a bit of a lag, so I wasn't very clear. So you, are you planning on also uploading the data sources so we know where the data is coming from, the data that you're uploading on the dashboard? That's just going to be useful in turn. Let's say if you have to go back and get more, try to get more information around the same area, around the same refugee camp, let's say, or the same indicator. It's just going to be useful if the data sources in some way can also be incorporated. I was also wondering if the dashboard allows you to do a bit of like a comparison across like refugee camps or across like different countries or context, because right now it's like one page where you get information on specifically, let's say, on one settlement or one country context, a national context. And then there was this one mention of an indicator of I think diesel per liter or the price of the diesel. And then my question there was, that would be, that kind of an indicator would be side of a slightly, it would change depending on the context. Like, for example, depending on the GDP per capita in a particular country. So just trying to also understand if you're developing a manual which has like a list of these indicators with explanation as to why these indicators were chosen as an indicator, especially, let's say, the 1.5 USD per liter, maybe it's a standard that we use, but it's still very useful to find out more, especially when we want to do like comparative analysis and we're trying to compare it to, let's say, GDP per capita, because that might not, like 1.5 USD in one context might be different in a different setting. And then lastly, so my understanding is that the data that you're using to populate the dashboard, it's being used across different data sources. So in terms of being able to compare at a point in time, so are these like at a point in time, for example, are they all like, let's say 2020, 2021, or are they across different time periods? Because that would also like, change how we're doing comparisons if you're looking across different years, different time periods. And lastly, this is currently a static dashboard, right? So you will have to update the figures. And how frequently are you thinking of updating the figures or the data on the dashboard? I'll stop here. I'm sorry, I think I asked too many questions.
Thank you very much, Anna. Yes, indeed, that's a big discussion. First, I want to I try to answer once into several questions. We have in the introduction, but I don't think it was sent out, or let me check back with Sadiq. And then there is introduction to a document with all the lists of indicators, by pages, why and when it was updated. So let me go back to the document, and we will, with Sadiq helps, I will send you this detailed list of indicators where you have all the different parameters and the different information. First, related to the date, to the update date, and then to the sources, and then also some comments related to the inclusion. Now, for the update, so the recurrence of the reporting system, the public information, so on the national contexts, we are pushing and trying, and this is aimed to get access to the organization API. So to automate the data transfer. Then the updates rate would be once a year or once every 2 years, depending on the demand of the partners. On the camp level, this is a much more difficult to tell. It really depends on the data availability and the studies that are funded and financed by our partner. So we will, as I said at the beginning of the discussion, we will add on each page, because each page has been updated, all indicators at once for each page. So there will be the date of the updates of all the indicators used on that page that will be added to the yellow line where you have our email address. Then, if I remember correctly, a very good question related to the oil price and the grid price. Definitely, it depends on the country. Definitely, it depends on the project. Definitely, and we had to put a threshold. The discussion was long, is long, and continuing. So, but I came to the conclusion that it was still an information to set a certain threshold, and we chose this threshold given the global markets of the PV panels. So under a certain threshold, the PV panels are not competitive price. The global PV panel price are no more competitive with oil or grid price. But of course, there are much more parameters and assumption in the calculation, definitely. Thank you for your questions. Then, do we have new, Paola, we have new questions? Otherwise, we can go because we have 10 more minutes and I will lose my promise to stop earlier.
No, there was someone else with their hand up, but I think it disappeared. So right now, no.
Okay, so you have our email address. Then I think we can close. Just raise your hand back. I have now them here on my screen. If you have a question. Then I think, as I talked also at the introduction of the session, we have a project which is considered as a next phase. It's a project with which focus on the 5+5 countries, so 10 countries in all over 2 years, and really to be able to provide a more customized and deep dive focus on those 5 countries. So I let Megan and Phil, which are responsible for these projects. Megan is the project manager and Phil the research associate. So Megan and Phil, if you want to jump in, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, Jonathan. I think I'll be taking this one.
Yeah, I knew I could count on you, Phil. Thank you.
Thanks so much for introducing the READS project. So READ stands for Roadmaps for Energy Access in Displacement Settings, READS. So this, as Jonathan said, is a 2-year program that's focusing on energy access and displacement settings in 10 countries. The first 3 that we're looking at are Uganda, Rwanda, and Kenya. So the READS program has many different components, but as Jonathan said, some of this overlaps with the data platform that he's just presented that he and Paula have been working on. So amongst objectives, we realized from the data platform that gathering information across displacement settings across the world is obviously very challenging, and that requires a very broad approach that sometimes only gets very shallow levels of data. So one of the objectives of the READS project is going into deeper dives into each of these countries that we're looking at. So our aspiration is it means that we'll be able to gather more information about each of these countries and then eventually scale that up to the 10 in total that we'll be looking at, and then beyond that, after the end of this first phase, to be able to provide more information about these countries, especially the kind of key candidates where displacement issues are kind of at the forefront of the agenda. So this will be integrated into the data platform going forwards. Exactly what that will look like will kind of develop because the READS project has only just started up recently. The other components of the READS program will include what we're calling country roadmaps. These are relatively short reports, one element of which is a kind of consolidation exercise, much like you've seen on the data platform, giving a kind of need-to-know summary of the regulatory environment, the ease of implementation of renewable energy projects, an overview of the displacement settings, displacement kind of situations in each of these countries. And then the second half is going to be examples of investment opportunities or opportunities to scale up or replicate existing projects from either displacement settings in one area of the country, in other areas, or to kind of shine a spotlight on some really good examples of energy projects in displacement settings that we can try and get further investment from donors or private sector or anyone else who wants to try and scale these up. Another very cool element of this project is that we're currently in the process of getting on board some displaced researchers based in those countries who can really share their experience of displacement issues in sustainable energy from a kind of first-person perspective. And we'll also be looking at all kinds of displacement settings. So, of course, the kind of traditional refugee camp, rural settings like we looked at a lot in the past, but also including urban refugees, asylum seekers, and all other kinds of populations of concern. So this project is just starting up. Like Jonathan said, it runs for 2 years, and the first 3 countries we're looking at are Uganda, Rwanda, and Kenya. We're currently engaging with partners to kind of kick that off, and we'll be hosting some workshops in the new year in early 2023 to kind of gather some more information from the ground to make sure that we can make these roadmaps as live as possible and as useful as possible so we can start scaling up sustainable energy in these countries. It's a very quick overview. I hope it answers some or preempts some possible questions. If you do have any questions, then please let me know. Back to you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you. I think we come to the end of this platform run through. I wanted to really thank every one of you who joined and in this session, and also to remind our partners and you guys that it's really the quality and the quantity of data and the information we are able to provide related to humanitarian, to displaced person energy access depends on the data that we are able to access. So we will continue the work of pushing to access more data, more quality data, and the quantity, as also you mentioned, for instance, in Bangladesh, where we had little access for the moment and the resources to access those data. And the goal is really to extend the access and to deepen the access. So yes, thank you. Thank you, Sadiq. Just before closing, if you can answer the poll, the question is, which information are the most relevant for your work on humanitarian energy? And here you have a list of the 4 different pages. So the energy access, settlement profile, national context, and thematic focus. So we have, for the moment, 40% of the participants. I will give more time to answer. For the moment, I don't know if you see the result on your screen. Sadiq, do the team sees the result? Phil, can you see the result on the screen?
Hi, Jonathan. I think people are still taking the poll. Maybe we can give 10 seconds or 20 seconds more.
But can they see the development of the scores?
I can publish after everyone takes the poll.
Sorry?
I can publish the results after everyone takes the poll.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think to let you leave early, I think there's 2. I mean, for the moment, yeah, I think you can close the...
Do you see the results now?
Yes, I can see. So here we can see that yes, as expected, the winner, the most interest of the team here, the participant for the moment, is energy access baseline. And then, which sort of surprised me and push, yes, and it's a good information, the thematic focus. So we can see that the team attending are also almost half of the team interested in the thematic focus, so focus on the specific services, humanitarian energy services. So thank you for this one. There is a second one. If you share results, okay. Sadiq, I let you take control and send the, yes. Thank you, Sadiq. So the last poll is, what would be your interest in accessing, in accessing the humanitarian energy database? So it's for us to see whether the interest for contribution, or it's more a demand interest or supply interest in data. So to know, also to understand and to understand the profile of the people attending those platform sessions. So here, yes, after 50% of participation, I mean, that's a very good news. 64%, so around 70%, so 3/4 of the, or yeah, 70% of the crowd attending today are interested in both contributing and accessing information. So we, on this very positive note, so willingness to contribute and to data sharing and data collection. I wanted again to thank you, everyone. Maybe Paula, if you have anything to say, or Thomas, anything more to say. I just will leave you with 5 minutes in advance, and I wish you happy end of the year and the very best for next year. Thank you very much.